On Friday, May 29, 2026, Piney Heights Road was officially designated the James Roland Smith Memorial Highway. Today, we pause to reflect on the life of the man whose name this roadway will carry, a man whose service, leadership, and faith left a lasting mark on Aiken County and the state of South Carolina. James Roland Smith was born on February 26, 1933 in Aiken, South Carolina. Over the course of his 92 years, he lived a life defined by dedication to his country, to his community, to his family, and to his faith. He served honorably in the United States Air Force during the Korean War, where he earned the National Defense Service Medal. After returning home, he continued a life of service as a rural mail carrier, a Pentecostal minister, and a businessman, roles that kept him closely connected to the people he cared for. In 1989, he was elected to represent District 84 in the South Carolina House of Representatives. He served the people of this district for 26 years. Though originally elected as a Democrat, he transitioned to the Republican Party in 1993, continuing to serve with the same commitment and conviction. During his tenure, he served on numerous committees, most notably as chairman of the South Carolina House Ethics Committee, where he earned a reputation for fairness, integrity, and steady leadership. His dedication to learning and ministry was equally profound. He attended the Universal Bible Institute in Alamo, Tennessee, earning a doctorate in Divinity, and also studied at the University of South Carolina and Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Beyond his legislative work, Roland Smith invested deeply in local service. He spent 10 years as commander of the Beach Island Rural Community Water District and served 6 years on the Aiken County Board of Education, including 4 years as vice chairman. His leadership touched nearly every corner of civic life in this community. He was a devoted husband to his wife Peggy, and together they raised 3 children. His family, his faith, and his community were the pillars of his life. James Roland Smith passed away on June 30th, 2025 at the age of 92. Though he is no longer with us, his legacy continues in the institutions he strengthened, the people he served, and now in the highway that bears his name.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to celebrate this occasion for Roland Smith. And we're going to start off in just a second after I give a couple thank yous to everybody that helped make today possible. First, I'd be terrible without thanking my husband for being behind the scenes, putting out chairs, Mr. Jim over there. And Pastor Funeral Home for donating the tent. And apparently there was an issue with the second tent, so I apologize about that. Mel Minotaur for doing our sound, and everyone that's here. We got Senator Young here, Representative Harts, myself, and Councilman Ron Felder is here as well. Anybody else I missed? And then how many of you are cousins of Roland? Because I've heard, or nieces and nephew, because everybody says Uncle Roland. So welcome, everybody.
Who's not kin to him?
I know, right? I think the whole community is. But right now I'm going to have Alvin Padgett come up and bless us and give his remarks, and then I'll come back up, and then we'll turn it over to Senator Young.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for such a beautiful day that you have given to us, where we could come to honor the life of Roland Smith. He has done so much for this community and for this state. And we just thank you that we had the opportunity to know him. We thank you that his family is here today, all of his friends, and we pray, Lord, that you would help us to have a great day as we try to honor the life of a man who loved you first of all, and then he loved his family, but that he loved all of us so much, and we just thank you for the opportunity to be here. Go with us now, be with those that'll speak, watch over us and protect us, and we'll be careful to give you honor and glory for all the things that you do. Amen. It's an honor and a privilege to speak to you today about my mentor and my friend, James Roland Smith. Roland Smith was a servant of the people. There was no time for showmanship in his life. If you met him on the street, in the grocery store, in church, or on that front porch on Edgar Street, he was the same, no matter where you saw him. He always wanted to know what he could do to help people. First and foremost, Roland served his country in the United States Air Force during the Korean War, where he earned the National Defense Service Medal, serving his country with dignity. Earlier in his career, he was a rural letter carrier, and we often talked about that because my daddy was a letter carrier also. And Roland told a story of how he always had candy in his vehicle, and all the children would come running up to the vehicle to get candy from the mailman. And also there were some poor folks along the route where he carried the mail that he often helped, but he didn't tell those stories. He kept those to himself, but that's the kind of man he was. Roland was also a minister of the gospel. He loved to preach and teach, and he blessed many lives along the way. He didn't talk about it much, but there were people who would come up to you and say, Brother Roland married us, or Brother Roland preached at our church. Again, he was a servant of the people. Roland later represented our district in the House of Representatives. Roland cared about South Carolina, but more importantly, he cared about our community and the community he served. All you had to do was call his office, and it wouldn't be long before you'd hear him on the phone, or more than likely you would see him in person rolling up to take care of whatever that problem might be. I asked him one time, I said, Roland, why do you think you are such a successful representative? And he said, you have to get out and be with the people. You have to do what your constituents want you to do. He always wanted to help others, but he never did like the limelight. I know there are many people that he helped, but one group of boys that he always helped was Boy Scout Troop 351 in Langley. He donated a United States flag to the troop that was flown over the state capitol. We still use that flag today. He attended many functions, including the Veterans Park flag ceremonies, as well as Eagle Scout Boards of Honor. One time the scouts noticed the flag in his front yard needed to be retired. So they took their own money and went and bought a flag and went down and presented it to him at his house. He insisted that we take pictures with him and the flag, and of course this thrilled the boys. Several days later, I stopped by his house. I said, Roland, why haven't you put the flag up? He said, well, I have to go buy a new flag. I said, why? The boys took their money and they bought you a flag and they want you to fly it. He said, yeah, but that flag was too nice. I framed it. I put a picture of it and I hung it on my wall in my shop. And I think if we're going to call it his shop, it's more like his museum instead of his shop. And he's got memorabilia in there that you wouldn't believe that are in there. Roland was highly respected and a man of great morals. You could not make Roland Smith do anything illegal or unethical. Even those in the highest ranks of government could not get him to do anything wrong. Brother Roland would kneel in prayer in his office and seek God's guidance before going to the floor to do any business in South Carolina. I will never forget the day he received the Order of the Palmetto Award. Then Governor Nikki Haley said this, Roland Smith was not a politician, he was a statesman. I looked up the definition of a statesman. It says, one versed in the principles or art of government, especially one actively engaged in conducting the business of a government or in the shaping of its policies. A wise, skillful, and respected political leader. And he was certainly all of those things to us. There are many politicians here with us today, and it would be good for all of you to strive to live like Roland Smith, a servant of the people. I saw people disagree with Roland, and he respected their beliefs without making them feel threatened. One day I saw a man try to argue with Roland to the point of telling Roland that he would just run against him for the next term. Brother Roland kindly gave him instructions on how to register to run for office and told him to go ahead and run. And that was the end of that conversation. And lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that above all, Roland was a godly man who loved his family. He loved his wife Peggy and watched out for her as long as he possibly could. He raised two wonderful sons, Gary and Todd, who have shown great love for their father by trying to live a life that he would be proud of. His daughter Caroline, whom he loved and respected deeply, and his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, his daughter-in-laws Brenda and Tammy. He was a family man. They say no one really dies until you forget to mention their name. Every time you pass this way, mention the name of Roland Smith. Tell the stories you have heard or that you know about Roland to everyone. Thank you, Roland, for everything you did for this community, a community that you were a proud part of. May God bless all of you for being here and being a part of Roland Smith's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin, for those beautiful words. And I know he calls you a great friend. And to the family, to the Smith family, I did not have the pleasure of serving with your dad, but my colleagues that are here have. And so when I got to the State House, you know, there was a couple of people in between us, but it didn't matter about the stories that I would hear over and over. Like, oh, you're in that Roland Smith seat. And are you like him? And I'm like, well, I don't think I'll ever measure up to that man, because the stories I still hear all the time. And so when I was asking people about him to tell me about him, and then all the stories that would pop up when we posted this event was happening, you know, everybody had great things to say. And that's a testament to your daddy and how great it must have been growing up in a household full of love and full of God. Alvin took most of my words I was going to say about him, so I won't rehash that. But he said something that was very important. When everybody rides by, they're going to see that name. And I saw a couple people say, who was that? On the info pages, like on the Facebook post, like, who was Roland Smith? And some people were like, look him up. He was a great man. Not one person said anything negative about him. And before I decided to run for this seat, I knew who he was and the legacy and what he had done for the Valley. And we were appreciative of that. Not just the Valley, but the rest of the district too. But he loved this place. And it just felt fitting when it came up, what road will we name? Right through the middle of his home and where his people are, that everybody knew his name. And he knew their name. And it wasn't about that. He wasn't just a politician. You know, I think he was the furthest thing from it. He was a neighbor, a friend, and always trying to help somebody out. I strive to be that person. I don't ask who you are, what, you know, political party you belong to. When you call me, I'm like, how can I help? And I know that was how he was too. So I won't struggle with more words. I get teary-eyed because I look at y'all and I know what a great man he was. And toward the end, I would see him at the Veterans Park and, you know, talk to him a little bit. And at the beginning, he was not a fan of mine. He endorsed Alvin, which I love Alvin very, very much. And so, but I think Alvin and I are good now, and I love him very much. And he's a wonderful servant of the community as well. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Young, that actually served with him and knows him a little better than I do, to wrap us up. And then we'll go across the street and do the unveiling.
Good afternoon. And thank Melissa for putting this together and inviting me to participate just for a few minutes and share with you some memories and observations and recollections of our beloved Roland Smith. I do want to point out that we are also joined by Representative Bill Hickson and Representative Charlie Hartz from our local legislative delegation. And I see Ron Felder from County Council. As Alvin said, Roland Smith was a servant leader. in the years that I've been in the General Assembly, I know of no one who better epitomized the role of servant leader than Roland Smith. Everything that he did, he put the interest of the people that he represented at the forefront. He loved the Lord. He loved his family. He loved the Horse Creek Valley, Jackson and Beach Island. He loved Aiken County, and he loved the state of South Carolina. I think Gary and Todd and the family would agree with me that it was probably in that order. That he loved the Horse Creek Valley and the area of Jackson and Beach Island. Anything that he could do, he would do it. I remember I was in the South Carolina House with him and Gary for 4 years before I went to the South Carolina Senate. And when I first got to the House, Roland was the chairman of the legislative delegation. And I didn't really know him. I knew him to speak to him, but I didn't really know him. And he did so much to help me in the 2 terms that I was in the House. He would give me guidance and wisdom and advice. And it was always obvious that everything he did it to make Aiken County and his district better. And he always put them at the forefront. And as Alvin said, he prayed before he went to session. And there were times when I would go by his office and he would ask me to join him in prayer before we went. I mean, Gary knows this. Before we went to the House floor. And that reminds me, I was thinking about this on the way over here, and when Melissa asked me yesterday to make a couple of comments, I was thinking about this yesterday too. I remember I had gone to the Senate, I think it was in 2014, and my wife and I she had found out she had a health challenge that we were very concerned about, and we were still in session, and it was late in session, and I think maybe the budget or something was moving its way through, and it's just a very hectic time. And this was the end of a 2-year session. And so I remember he stopped me. I saw him somewhere inside the State House, and he stopped me. He said, "How you doing?" And I told him I was doing fine, and I told him about what I was worried about with my wife. And the next day I saw him again, and he came up to me, and he said, "I just want you to know that I had a good prayer for your wife this morning." That's the type of person that Roland Smith was. That's the type of person that every one of us remembers Roland Smith being. And that's the type of person that the Horse Creek Valley and the people of Jackson and Beach Island and Aiken County who elected him, sent him to Columbia for 25 years or so, remember as their representative, who loved the Lord, loved his family, loved his district, loved Aiken County, and love the state of South Carolina. I'm honored to be here today for this recognition. Appreciate y'all being here. God bless Roland Smith and his family. Thank you.
I am joined now with my delegation members, and we are going to present you guys with a resolution. Will you be my Vanna White?
Yeah.
Gary knows all what this is about. When you get a road named after someone, you have to actually pass a bill to do that. So from the Aiken delegation, we did this, and it's just the least I could do as a memorandum for what a wonderful man he is. So Smith family, please accept this on behalf of us, and we love you guys very much. It'll say. And then for those that want to walk across, we'll go across the street, and hopefully we'll, and also we thank Marty Sawyer, our sheriff, for keeping us safe today.